To elected members of the committee, if you could please sign in as you come into the committee. To elected members of the committee, if you could please sign in. We'll begin in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, we will convene now the Tuesday, March 4th, year 2025, our Transportation Subcommittee of the Tennessee House of Representatives. If you could please open the board, Mr. Clerk, and take the roll. Mr. Clerk, please announce the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The clerk and the chair see a quorum. Thank you all very much. It's another great day in the state of Tennessee. Do we have any personal orders to come before the committee as we begin? All right, seeing none. We do have a calendar before us, and I will take the privilege to go down a few housekeeping items that we have on the calendar before us. We'll start with item number 7 on our calendars. Item number 7, House Bill 816 by Chairman Travis. The request is going to be to take off notice. We've had a little bit of discrepancy on this, so if Chairman Travis is watching, we had an email from Chairman Travis's office to take the bill off notice. So as we move forward, just for Chairman Travis' benefit, he'll need to put it back on notice. So without objection, item number 7, House Bill 816 is off notice. Item number 9 on our calendars, House Bill 736 by Chairman Vital. The request has been to roll this bill for 1 week. No objection. House Bill 736 rolled 1 week. Item number 10 on the calendars, House Bill 737 by Chairman Vital. The request has also been to roll this bill 1 week. Without objection, House Bill 737 is rolled 1 week. And item number 12 on our calendars, House Bill 537 by Leader Camper. The request has been to roll this bill for 1 week as well. With no objection, House Bill 537 rolled 1 week. We do have, as I stated before, a calendar before us, and we will get right to the meat and potatoes of our business. House Bill 1316, a bill by Leader Lambert that is going to be run by Representative Chairman McCalman. We have a motion. We have a second. Chairman McCalman, you are recognized on the legislation. I believe we've got some amendatory language that you're working on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is Amendment Drafting Code 004004.
That is the one that we've got. Ladies and gentlemen, you may see a couple of different amendments in your marked calendar, but the amendment that we are going forward, again, to reiterate, is 004004. Let's go ahead and place this amendatory language on the bill. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor of placing amendment drafting code 004004 on the bill, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. Chairman McCalman, your bill is now amended. Please explain what you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, what House Bill 1316 does is it amends Tennessee Code to clarify that someone over the age of 18 does not need to be issued a permit for driving before performing road skills tests, as long as they are accompanied by a Department of Safety employee. In addition, it amends Tennessee Code to be consistent with the current practice of operating large RV-type vehicles in Tennessee. This change ties these types of vehicles to their intended use instead of GVWR, which is gross vehicle weight rating, for those of you who did not know that acronym. This change does not create a new class of license, only does away with connecting a regular Class D license with a gross vehicle weight rating. This will allow for RVs to be driven with a Class D license, which is current practice. And lastly, it makes clear in state law that someone's personal information will not be retained longer than necessary, used for unintended purposes, or sold to a third party. Currently, the department does have the authority to issue mobile driver's licenses. However, Tennessee Code does not have provisions to prohibit the retention of this data or prohibit the sale of the data. This will fix that. In the amendment that we put on, two major changes. The first section, it makes it permissive for third parties or private companies to accept a digital license. If they want to require a hard copy, they can also do that. Secondly, the section prohibits the collection of biometric data unless it's for comparing to the photo on file with the department for the initial download. This was requested by a few of the members on our committee to get it to where it would be in a position to pass. And so with that, I stand ready for questions and renew my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for the sponsor of the legislation? And we do have some folks on the who have requested to support, to speak on the legislation. Any questions for the sponsor? We can also go out of session if need to. Representative Renaud. Okay. I think the request has been to go out of session. Without objection, we'll go out of session. We have someone from the Tennessee Department of Safety who would like to speak on the bill. If you know the routine, tell us who you are, who you're with, and what you would like us to know. You're recognized, ma'am.
Elizabeth Stroker, Legislative Director and Assistant General Counsel for the Department of Safety. I am not a weird person. This was the only Diet Coke size that there was. Please, I've had a lot of comments. But yes, Representative Renaud, what can I answer for you?
Representative Renaud, you're recognized for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm curious about the fiscal note. It says it's no impact because we're getting federal funds for it through the American Rescue Act. Is that correct?
Ms. Stroker?
There's not a fiscal cost on the bill because we're not adding any additional things to the department. I'm honestly, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay. In the fiscal note,
Representative Renaud, you're recognized.
sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. In the fiscal note, it just says that there's no fiscal impact to the state, but that's because we're getting federal funding through the American Rescue Act for whatever, it's already been approved and allocated through that for the state.
Ms. Stroker?
Okay.
I am so sorry. I don't really know what that is. There's no fiscal cost because this is something we've already developed and we had the funding to do so many, many years ago. That may have been tied to some federal funding that we got a long time ago, but as far as being tied to a relief act, I am not aware of that at all.
Okay.
But there is no cost to the bill.
Representative Renaud?
My main concern about the bill, there's actually several concerns, but main concern about the bill is that there's really no guarantee that this type of data will not be breached. In fact, there's been several instances across, particularly the federal government, where I think it was 2016, where 21 million people had their fingerprint data taken or stolen from the OPM. And so there's not a provision in here for what happens if the data is breached or someone's biometric information gets stolen. And that's a concern because if my geometric face information gets taken, given that it says in here that they can retain that information for up to 3 days, somebody could potentially breach it. And I can't change my biometric data easily like I could change a social security card or maybe get a new physical driver's license if it was stolen.
Are you through, Representative Renaud?
Yeah, well, so I guess my question is regarding the not having a penalty if the data or the information is breached.
Ms. Stroker, you recognized?
Yeah, and thank you. I know we've talked about this a few weeks ago. In regards to the biometric data, I do want to clear something up because this amendment does make it to where the collection, storage, and usage of biometric data is not allowed except for the one time that you download the license, if you so choose. It will take a picture and only compare it to the photo we have on file within our driver's license system. It cannot collect it any other time, and then it has to be purged. So that amendment does fix that initial concern of the collection and storage of biometric data just at the will of the third-party entity. And then as far as data breach, I mean, that would exist in any system where you are holding personal information of someone. I don't know how you just blanket make sure that no database in any of state government is not breached outside of what we currently do. We have a pretty robust STS. I'm blanking on what their acronym is, but the IT people for the state have a pretty robust cybersecurity and data breach protection within the finance and administration department. Additionally, anyone that we are contracting with to provide this app where you could download your digital license if you wanted to has to sign many contract clauses with the department that go through both STS within F&A, who handles data security within the department. And if anything is negligently or recklessly done in regards to that data, we definitely have penalty clauses within that contract with who we are contracting with. So there are teeth to it, on not necessarily in the statute, but with anyone who wants to have this option to be able to offer this app, they have to go through our vetting and contracting process to make sure that there are safeguards in place to make sure there are not data breaches. And if there are, they will be held accountable for those breaches under current state law and under the contract that they would be entered into.
Representative Renaud.
So in what I recall, or what I wrote notes down, is that the data could be retained for no longer than 3 days. So what would be the reason that they would retain data up to 3 days if they're only supposed to use it for that one time?
Ms. Stroker.
So it would be if they are verifying who you are, if there's maybe an issue with the photo that was taken. Let's say, I think the most common example I use is, what if your kid's trying to download your license through the mobile ID app? If there's a discrepancy, obviously a picture's not matching, something like that, and it's going to take a little bit longer for them to verify or to even flag us that, hey, someone's trying to fraudulently download your license onto their phone. That's why it's either for the intended use, it cannot be kept longer than to verify the intended use, which should be immediate, or no more than 3 days. So 3 days would be the absolute max. But the law dictates that if they verify it's you and it takes that 5 seconds, it should immediately be purged at that point. So it's just no longer than 3 days.
Representative Renaud.
I guess I understand y'all did this before, obviously previous to my time. I'm still really concerned that we know that the data can be breached. In fact, it likely will, based on other states who have either done this. There was a case in Louisiana where someone's used a victim's digital ID to open accounts by obtaining additional fake documents like W-2s and lease agreements in addition to their mobile digital license. So I'm curious to know, in the contract, what are the penalties if that data is breached for a third-party software that would be in charge of this?
Ms. Stroker.
I don't know specifics of what that contract language would be. Obviously, that language would be negotiated with the department as well as STS, who does handle data security and data breach issues for the department. I believe there's general boilerplate clauses that have to be included in that when you're talking about data sets or information within any state agency. I don't know those specifics because I do not handle our contracting within the department, but it would be whatever we deem necessary in conjunction with the department who handles the data security for the state.
Representative Renaud.
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will ask, as we're having the discussions, tell me about the permissive nature of this legislation. We're not forcing this on anyone, are we? Can you please address that?
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Stroker.
Yes, sir. So to Representative Renaud's point, if this is something that you are not comfortable with or something that you just don't want to do, you don't have to. This is for people who just want that ease of convenience, whether it be going to a restaurant or anything that you would use your driver's license for. I want to point out, it cannot be used for voting purposes. You still have to use your hard copy for voting purposes. It is 100% permissible in regards to if a restaurant wants to accept it or not. And also there's permissive language, or I guess a prohibition on third parties from requiring it. So a bank or someone cannot require that you give them a digital license instead of a hard license. And so we have built, we think, some pretty legitimate, serious safeguards in place that currently do not exist to make sure that this information is secure and that it is 100% voluntary for anyone who may or may not want to do that. And they cannot be held to being mandated to present it to somebody else, like a bank or someone who may deem that a little bit more easier for their convenience.
Thank you. I think that's an important facet of the legislation, as we are concerned about this one aspect of the legislation. Any further questions for Ms. Stroker while we're out of session? Seeing none, thank you very much. We are back in session. We are now on debate on House Bill 1316. Any questions or comments for the sponsor of the legislation? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? All those in, Mr. Clerk, if you could please open up the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1316, moving on to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. Any opposed, please vote no. The vote is now open. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 7 ayes and 2 noes.
The bill having met with affirmative action, your bill moves forward to full committee. Congratulations, Representative McCalman. You're welcome. We're now on item number 2 on our calendars, House Bill 770 by the illustrious Chairman Crawford. You have a motion, you have a second. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. Thank you to the guests and members that are present here today. This bill is a needed bill for the simple reason it has the potential to put small businesses out of business. And what we're trying to do with this bill is fix that problem. It's been brought to my attention from several small trucking companies that they're having issues with getting some severe fines and not having enough time to pay them. There's been an increase in the law as far as really putting a potential, I don't know, I can't think of the word to use, but anyway, they're significantly trying to make sure our bridges are protected, and this deals with the Federal Bridge Act. One of the small trucking companies that approached me about this told me that they had received 2 different fines, and both of them were more than they made in the whole week that they were moving material, rock in this case. So what this bill does is it addresses the federal law about bridges, and it changes it from 80,000 pounds to 85,000 pounds, allowing a heavier weight to go across the bridges. It also will give them, instead of 30 days to pay their bill, this will change it to 90 days. And all I'm trying to do here is fight for the little man and make sure they have a say. Some of these offenses is as simple as not having your truck covered, even when it's empty, and something blows out, you're responsible for that. And overloading your trucks, you know, if you're going to be out on Tennessee highways, be prepared, because they're looking for offenses to make our roads safer for all citizens. So this is a bill that hopefully will address some of that and fix the problem. That's what my bill does, and I stand for questions.
Thank you, Chairman Crawford. I know we're continually faced with the push and pull and struggle with what happens in Washington and what we feel should be happening in Tennessee. And I do fear that this could jeopardize some federal funding. And I understand, I'm a small business person myself. I understand where we're coming from, but we may have some questions on the piece of legislation. Chairman Butler, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sponsor, as somebody that has a commercial driver's license and triaxle dump trucks, I'm all about being able to get more weight on them and move more material that saves money. But my biggest concern in doing a little research on this is it could potentially cut off $60 million of federal funding for Tennessee, and we're already struggling for funding as it is, and trying to figure out ways to better invest in our infrastructure. Can you address how this legislation would affect that?
Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Representative Butler. That is correct. You know, it's definitely going to cost us probably some money if it's implemented. But the way I'm looking at it is the money that we bring in from the small businesses doing that will hopefully not jeopardize it as much. It'll be enough to cover that. The other thing is it's not so much about money to me as it is making the roads safer for Tennesseans.
Chairman Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that response. The first estimates I got was 60 million. To generate that much money and from a small business, they're going to have to move an awful lot of material. And so I appreciate your response. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Chairman Howell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned, Chairman, I have a great respect for you, and I know you're representing your constituents, but you mentioned that some fines, some repetitive fines. What are these fines for? Is it like overweight trucks?
Yes.
Chairman Crawford.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the people that I have talked to who have come to me and talked to me is definitely dealing with the cover not being on their trucks and also having overweight trucks. And by doing so, that puts a lot more wear and tear on the roads. We understand that. But this day and time, especially in this area, there's a lot of building going on, and we don't want those trucks going off on side roads. We want to keep them on good straight roads and keep people safe. But yes, it's mainly fines for overloading and the cover.
Chairman Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would seem there'd be a simple solution to that. And most of these trucks that I see, if they're gravel trucks, they have automatic coverage. Put a cover on it and don't overload your truck. We have these in place, these rules and regulations in place for a reason. Of course, it overloaded truck going across a bridge. If you've got a 30-ton truck going over a 20-ton bridge, that's a serious safety issue. And it would also take us out of compliance with federal regulations, which, as Chairman Butler said, would jeopardize about 60 million that we know of in federal funds. So with that in mind, even though I have great respect for what you're trying to do for your constituents, I can't support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chairman Russell, you're recognized, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm all about supporting small businesses. Has any studies been done to see what the effect this would bring to the bridges and roads if you go over that 5,000 from, right now it's 80,000 pound weight rating. If you go up 5 more thousand pounds, has it been any kind of study?
Chairman Crawford.
Chairman Russell, I cannot answer that, and I don't know if there's been any studies done for sure. But this is something that we definitely need to look at. 5,000 pounds, you do that 10 times a day, that's a lot of money to the small businesses. And this TCA has not been looked at in several years. It needs to be modernized. So, but as far as your question, I cannot answer that. I know of no studies that have been done.
Chairman Russell.
Well, I appreciate that. And I would like to support your bill, but I can't at this time. But I would open-mindedly support it later at a date after a study is done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman McCalman, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to echo some of the other comments that have been said, Chairman Crawford, we have these weight ratings on these trucks for a reason. I mean, trucks, it's not just, these aren't necessarily modern roads that we're running on in all places. An overweight truck is going to have a longer time stopping. So from a public safety standpoint, and again, I'm all about supporting small business. And with regards to the federal funding that's been mentioned, I hate that we have strings attached to the federal government, but that's the reality that we do live in. But just out of a public safety, as somebody who, like Chairman Butler, he has a CDL. I used to have a CDL, but knowing the safety restrictions that the safety issues that would be in place, I can't support this bill, sir. So,
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? I think I must be the lone person out not having my CDL license on this committee. So I'm going to have to, if I could just see with both eyes, it would be very helpful. I could probably go get one of those. Any further questions or comments from committee members? Are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, if you could please open the vote. All those in favor of sending House Bill 770 to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. Any of those opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Would any member like to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 noes.
Chairman Crawford, we love you. We just don't love the bill. And I think you've got a very good concept there that, as you've heard from this committee, we want to work with you in the future on this piece of legislation. And I know your voracious advocacy for your constituents as you work on this. Unfortunately, House Bill 770 has failed, and they will not move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee.
Thank you. We are now on item number 3 on our calendars, House Bill 1350 by Chair Lady Littleton. You have a motion. You have a second, Chair Lady Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, and I hope you love me and my bill today.
Chair Lady, I believe we might even love an amendment that you might have, and I'm looking at the lovely drafting code 003948.
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second on your amendatory language. Let's go ahead and get some amendment on the bill. All those in favor of adopting House Amendment Drafting Code 003948, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. The amendment is adopted, and we are on your bill for explanation as amended, Chair Lady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, as amended, will create a handicap placard specific to disabled veterans. Current law provides for a disabled veteran a specific plate, but not a placard. Under this law, a qualifying veteran can choose either the plate or the placard at no cost. If a veteran has obtained a plate at no cost, they may elect to purchase the placard in addition to the plate. And that's if they have someone that's transferring them back and forth, like to the hospital and places, that they can move the placard back and forth. And the amendment only changes the date to 7/1/26 at the request of revenue to allow time for implementation.
Thank you. And again, just to reiterate the amendment, Department of Revenue has asked us to work on some effective dates, and it does set it out to July 1 of the year 2026, as the Chair Lady has responded. Any questions or comments for the sponsor of the legislation? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, if we could please open the board. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1350 as amended to full Transportation Committee, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change your vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes.
Your bill has received unanimous support. Your bill moves forward to full Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you, Chair Lady. We are now on item number 4 on our calendars. The illustrious Chairman Hulsey from Sullivan County. You have a motion. We're on House Bill 442. Chairman, you have your motion. You have your second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. This is an easy bill. Actually brought by a couple of officers in my old department, and they're trying to restore some old emergency vehicles, police cars, and of course the fire department already has their own old one. But there are some things in the current law that actually are prohibitive of a private person owning blue lights or red lights on a vehicle. And what this bill does is it just fixes that. So an antique car, which is over 25 years and has an antique tag, and it's on an emergency vehicle, as long as the lights are conducive to how it was when it was manufactured, they can have those lights installed as they used to be, and they can drive the thing to parades and to fairs and to anything else they can get to. Of course, not running the blue lights or red lights going down the road, but when they get there, they can show them off. And this bill, that's all this bill does. They have to have a letter, by the way, an authorizing letter from the chief of police of the town they're in, but it just fixes the glitches in current law to make that available to them.
Thank you, Chairman Hulsey. I've heard the explanation. Chairman Howell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, Chairman, do you have one of these vehicles?
I have
Chairman
one that's
Hulsey.
about that big sitting on my dresser. Yes, sir.
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Just to clarify, in my mind, I picture, I know we've all watched the Andy Griffith Show, so this would be like the patrol car with the blue bubble on top. It's not the modern strip like we have now, and they'll be able to go to the fairgrounds or wherever and turn the blue light on, and the kids would get excited and everybody would enjoy a a little reminiscent back in Mayberry. That's what we're
That's
talking
exactly
about.
what you're talking about
Yeah.
right there. And I still get a rush when I see them, I'll just tell you.
I like your bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Hulsey, I hear the conversation about antiques. Have you ever considered yourself an antique?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Listen, I was born back when the Dead Sea was just sick. Don't rub it in.
That never gets old. I can hear that every day of my life, and I'll still love that, my friend. Chairman McCowan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think a better classification for Chairman Halsey would be vintage or a classic himself.
Amen. Amen. We will all agree with that. Any further questions or comments for the sponsor? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, if you could please open the vote. All those in favor of sending House Bill 442 to full Transportation Committee, please signify by saying aye or voting aye. All those opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change your vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes.
Chairman Hulsey, your bill, House Bill 442, moves forward to full Transportation Committee. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
We are now ready for item number 5 on our calendars. House Bill number 28 by Chairman Hale. Chairman Hale, you have a motion and a second on House Bill 28. I see no amendatory language on there. You're recognized for explanation, sir.
Thank you, Chairman of the committee. This bill was brought to me by a constituent in Smithville who informed me that visually impaired people who own but do not drive a car are having to pay commercial insurance rather than the typical individual insurance. Despite posing no additional risk to other drivers, these individuals are forced to pay the significantly higher rates. And so seems to be somewhat of a discriminatory thing. We even have elderly people that we probably most all of us know that still own a car, but they don't drive, but somebody else drives them. But these visually impaired, matter of fact, the lady that brought me this bill said that her, and texted this to me a little while ago, her insurance premium for this year was $4,000 for that she's having to pay. So that is just awful. And so we need, this just would not allow them to be able to do that.
Thank you. You've heard the explanation. Any questions or comments from committee members? Chairman Hale, thank you very much for bringing the legislation. It's as we respond to constituents in particular ways, this is obviously you being very responsive to your constituents, and I thank you for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, could you please open the vote? All those in favor of sending House Bill 28 to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. All those opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Would any member like to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you could please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes.
9 ayes, 0 noes. Chairman Hale, your bill number 28 moves forward to full transportation.
Thank you, committee and chair.
Thank you. We are now on item number 6 on our calendars, House Bill 810 by Chairman Grills. Motion. Second. You have a motion. You have a second. All right, Chairman Grills, this has been a labor of love for quite some time for you, and I believe that you do have some amendatory language.
Yes, sir, I do.
I'm going to call out drafting code 004345.
I have the same amendment.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an amendment before us. We've got a motion. We have a second. Let's go ahead and place the amendment on the bill, and we'll discuss from there. All those in favor of placing amendment code drafting 004345 on the bill, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, please say no. Your bill is amended. We are now ready for your explanation of House Bill 810 as amended. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, and I would like to consider this a bipartisan bill with the General Assembly and the Department of Safety.
Multi-cameral there.
That's correct.
Multi-cameral.
When I got up here about 5 years ago, I saw lots of bills that were coming up dealing with the way side-by-sides UTVs could get on the state roads and county roads and different things. So we started looking at it, and last year I brought a bill, and then Ms. Stroker from the Department of Safety came and asked me if I'd be willing to wait for a year. And and we would put something together comprehensively. So we have done that over the last 18 months, and that's what we have before us today. So if she, okay, if there's no need to talk, there's no need to talk. But I know I've talked to most of the members on the committee. We've tried to put this in a position where the state will have a more uniform approach all across the state. We're not trying to circumvent the law, but we're trying to make it more workable and doable for farmers, for trailsmen, for sportsmen, and for people that have side-by-sides. So with that, I'll answer any questions or listen to any comments.
Thank you, Chairman Grills, and forgive me as I'm talking to someone in the audience. I apologize for talking over your shoulder there. I'm sorry. I think it's been a great piece of legislation that you've been working on. I've been one of the ones who've brought pieces of legislation throughout the years as well. So thank you for working in this space. Chairman Howell has a question or comment for you. Recognize Chairman Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to commend the sponsor and Department of Safety for doing this. I've been chairman of transportation for 6 years, and every year we have another amendment to the amendment to the amendment that says we can drive the ATV for a quarter of a mile on this road and turn left on that road and then go that way for a third of a mile. And it's a mess. And it got to be a patchwork of confusion. This needed to be fixed, and you've worked hard on it. I know you worked through the summer, and I appreciate the safety working with you. And so I just wanted to say I appreciate what you're doing, what you've done, and I'm excited to vote yes on this bill.
Chairman Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will give the credit to the Department of Safety. They worked the hardest on it.
Chairman Russell, you're recognized.
Question on bill.
Question has been called. Any objection? Hearts and minds are clear. Question has been called. Mr. Clerk, could you please open the vote? All those in favor of sending House Bill 810 as amended to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. Any opposed, please vote no. Does any member want to change your vote? Mr. Clerk, if you could please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes and 0 noes.
Without any no votes, House Bill 810 moves forward to full Transportation Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the committee.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, House Bill 7 has been taken off notice. House Bill number 8 will come before us at the moment. Item number 8, House Bill 975 by Representative Burkhart. You have a motion, you have a second. You are recognized, Representative Burkhart, on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill comes to me from Montgomery County, from the commissioners and the mayor. Under current law, a county commission has the ability to lower speed limits on county roads that are maintained by the county. This bill simply enables the county commission to delegate authority to lower speed limits to the county highway supervisor if the highway department employs an engineer and engineering and traffic investigations are completed. And this is a permissive bill that can be taken in or taken out at any time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions or comment? I think Representative Burkhart, this is indicative of making government more efficient and again, allowing locals to make these decisions. So I applaud the efforts that you've seen there, that we've seen there.
Thank you.
Are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, could you please open the vote? All those in favor of sending House Bill 975 to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. Any opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change your vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes and 0 noes.
With an affirmative vote, we send House Bill 975 by Representative Burkhart to full Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Thank you. All right, we've taken liberty to roll item number 9, House Bill 736. We have rolled for 1 week item number 10, House Bill 737. We are now ready to take up item number 11 on our calendar by Chairman Vital. We have House Bill 1118. You have your motion. You have your second, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 1118 was brought to me by the 911 Emergency Communication Districts. The intent of this bill is to ensure that mobile command and communication vehicles are clearly identifiable as emergency vehicles. This bill specifically permits that these emergency vehicles can use red flashing lights with white flashing lights as a combination and other safety equipment. These vehicles must be marked as either mobile command vehicle or mobile communications vehicle. This provision aims to enhance the visibility of these vehicles, especially in situations where they are responding to disasters or emergency situations. With that, I am available for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Chairman Vital. And this has been, this is an important bill for my district that has just experienced disaster and has needed this option and opportunity. So any questions or comments? Representative Atchley, you're recognized.
I'd just like to say, for emergency services, I think this is a very good bill, and I strongly support it.
Thank you.
Chairman Russell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to clarify, we talked about it. They have to use a siren whenever they use the flashing lights on the road.
That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. That is correct. That, along with other safety equipment that's required by law.
Thank you. And that comes from the Vanessa K. Free Act that the legislature passed a long time ago. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Russell. Any further questions or comments? Are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1118 by Chairman Vital to full Transportation Committee, please signify by voting aye. Any of those opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you could please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes and 0 noes.
With a resounding unanimous vote, Chairman Vital, your bill goes forward to full Transportation Committee.
Thank you, members of the committee, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, item number 12 on our calendar by Leader Camper. The request has been to roll this bill for 1 week. We have already taken action on requesting the roll on that. Item number 13 on our calendars by Leader Love. We are awaiting Leader Love. He is presenting a bill in another committee at the moment. If we could mill about smartly for a few moments, we could invite Chairman Hulsey back and tell a few more jokes if we could do that. Tell you, we will take a brief recess while we search for Leader Love without objection. All right, we have taken a brief recess. We are now back in session. We are to the point of our calendar. Item number 13 is on our list. We have House Bill 425 by Leader Love. We have a motion? We have a motion? Leader Love, you have a motion and a second. We'll talk offline about how slowly that motion came.
Yes, sir.
Leader Love, you're recognized to explain your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And House Bill 425 came about because I had a constituent who has been working with young people getting their driver's license restored after the court gives them a certificate restoring their right to get the driver's license. There is a 10-day requirement that they must turn it into the Department of Transportation in 10 days. But the reading of the 10 days has been interpreted that they also must then take whatever test they have to take at Department of Transportation to get the license back within the 10 days. And so this bill simply removes that 10-day piece and allows them to turn the paperwork in from the court saying that they can get their driver's license back, and then at any point later on, take whatever test they need to take and then get the license restored.
Thank you very much for that explanation. Chairman Butler, you recognize, sir.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understand this. So they get the letter or the certification, so to speak, to take the test. They go submit that and turn that in. They can come back anytime after that to take the test.
Correct.
Leader Love.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Are you ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. All those in favor of sending House Bill 425 to full Transportation Committee, please vote aye. Any opposed, please vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change your vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes and 0 noes.
With a unanimous vote, Leader Love, your bill goes to full Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, I apologize. I was in another committee running a bill, and I thank you all for waiting on me.
Thank you. I hope you meet
Appreciate
with the
it.
same success in your other committee. So
Yes, sir.
without objection, House Bill 425 goes to full Transportation Committee. All right. Any other business to come before the subcommittee? Seeing none, the movement is to adjourn. We are adjourned.